शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये अनन्तसंसारसमुद्रतार नौकायिताभ्यां गुरुभक्तिदाभ्यां वैराग्यसाम्राज्यदपूजनाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम् अंजनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम् कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः गोविन्दाय नमो नमः गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Namaskaram all of you, and welcome to the 10th session detailing the 10th Dasakam known as Śruṣṭi bhedaṁ and often described as diversification of creation or variety of creation. We saw in prior sessions Bhagavat Mahima, Rupa Varnanam, Bhakta Lakshanam, an insight into Ashtanga Yoga and Virat Purusha manifestation, all of them leading to the creation of Hiranyagarbha, or the Brahma we commonly call as the creator. We also briefly saw the Pralayam and the commencement of prerequisite for creation after such a deluge or Pralayam. Then the description of creation and Brahma getting ready to do his ordained duty. This Dasakam 10 deals with the variety of creation, which is somewhat complex. I also have to highlight that this Dasakam is the first watershed, and many aspects which are heavily impacted in philosophy require somewhat extensive elaboration, without which the purpose of this complex Dasakam and attempted analysis may look somewhat rushed up. To make this session interesting and enjoyable, especially for the dedicated youngsters who have immense admiration for the scriptural truth of Sanatana Dharma, my brother Narasimhan has worked tirelessly to depict the slokams, not only Nãrãyaneeyam slokams but also references from Bhagavatam, pictorially coherent. In all our 4 years of satsangam, this presentation I would consider to be unique and one of its kind to follow, with many more such vivid descriptions in the forthcoming sessions and dasakams. As you saw in the introduction slide, we profusely and humbly thank the internationally famous artist Sri Raghavan, popularly known as Keshavji to the spiritual world, whose generosity permits us to showcase his pictures, which are occasionally borrowed in our lectures to present in detail, which nevertheless are all not for profit and free. And you may have noticed all my YouTube channels are non-monetized. Let us now begin with Bhattadiri's presentation. वैकुण्ठवर्धित बलोत भवत्प्रसादात् वैकुण्ठवर्धित बलोत भवत्प्रसादात् अम्बोजयोनिः असृजत् किल जीवदेहा सास्तूनि भूरु अयमाणि तथा चिरश्च सास्तूनि भूरु अयमाणि ददातिरस्तां जातिर्मनुष्य निवगानपि देवभेदान् जातिर्मनुष्य निवगानपि देवभेदान्. Vaikunta Vardita Balotha Bhavat Prasada Amboja Yonihi Asrijada Kila Jiva Dehan Stastuni Buru Hayamani Tatatirastam Jatir Manushya Nivahanapi Deva Bhedan. வைகுண்டத்தில் எழுந்தருளிருக்கும் ஸ்ரீ குருவாயூரப்பா, தங்கள் அருளினால் மிக்க வலிமை பெற்ற பிரம்மதேவன் அதன் பின் நிலத்தினின்றும் தோன்றும் மரம், செடி, கொடி முதலிய தாவரங்களையும், அதேபோல் திகழ்ந்து வளரும் பசு, பறவை முதலிய விலங்குகளையும், மனிதர்களையும், பல்வகை தேவர்களையும், உயிர்களுக்குரிய உடல்களையும் படைத்தான். Bhattadiri says, O Lord of Vaikunta, the physical body is the seat of the Atman for experiencing pleasure, pain, etc. Without the physical body, the Atman cannot experience any joy or sorrow. The Jivas which merged with you during the Pralaya would still need to undergo a series of pains and pleasures, the fruits of actions or karmas performed in their past lives. Brahma created them, giving them each a body appropriate to their respective karmas. He first created creepers and trees, which are of a lower cadre, to serve as food to mobile beings, Jangama, those trees and creepers who are rooted to their respective fixed positions, and therefore they are called Stavara, meaning stationary. Mobile beings are supposed to be superior to stationary beings. After creating trees and creepers, Brahma created animate beings like animals, birds and the like, which among the class of animate beings are of the lowest order. Among animals, there are many species like horses which are single-hoofed, cows which are bi-hoofed, and birds and dogs and the like which have 5 nails. Brahma created next human beings who are superior to the aforementioned creations, being a lot more intelligent. Finally, he created devas who by nature were predominantly composed of Sattva Guna. To create all these beings, Brahma did not have adequate powers acquired either by penance or by intelligence. Nor did he have the requisite divine powers that would complete the creation. It was solely due to your grace, Guruvayurappa, that his inherent powers were enhanced for the task of creation. You did not have any impediments in providing Brahma with the needed divine powers for the task of creation. Kuntata means inertia or lassitude, and Vaikunta means one devoid of such qualities. The address to the Lord, Hey Vaikunta, is very apt and clear in the context. Mityagrahasmi matiragavikopa-bhitihi ajnana-vrittim adipancha-vidam sasrutva uddama-tamas-padartha vidana-dunaham tene tvadiya charanaha smaranam visuddhi The next loka deals with the creation of anger, pride, etc. by Brahma through ignorance. Mityagrahasmimati raga vikopa bhitihi ajnana vrittim adipancha vidamsa Śruṣṭva uddama tamasa padartha vidana dunaha tene tvadiya charanasmaranam visuddhyai. அந்த பிரம்மதேவர் அறிவு, மயக்கம், யான், எனது என்கிற அகங்கார மமகாரங்கள், ஆசை, கோபம், பயம் என்கிற 5 வகையான அஞ்ஞான செயல்கள் இவற்றை தோற்றுவித்தார். அதன்பின் தமோகுணம் நிறைந்த பொருள்களை படைத்ததனால் பெரிதும் வருந்தி அந்த அறியாமையை போக்கிக் கொள்ள தங்கள் திருவடிகளை திரும்பவும் தியானித்தார் அல்லவா குருவாயூரப்பா. இங்கு ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயம், ஆத்மாவை காட்டிலும் உலகை வேறாக நினைத்தல் மித்யாகிரகம், அறிவு மயக்கம் எனப்படும். உடலையே நான், அந்த உடலே ஆத்மா என்று நினைப்பவனும் நினைத்தலும் அஸ்மிமதி என்று சொல்லுவார்கள், அகங்காரம். உலகியல் பொருள்களில் கொள்ளும் ஆசை ராகம் எனும் பற்று ஆகும். தனது பொருள் முதலியவற்றை அபகரிப்பவனிடத்தில் வரும் பகைமைதான் கோபம் எனப்படும். தனது பொருள்கள் அழிந்துவிடுமே என எண்ணி வரும் துயரம் இருக்கிறதே, அந்த துயரத்தை பயம் என்று சொல்லுவார்கள். இவ் அனைத்துமே ஜீவராசிகளத்தில் காணும் குறைபாடுகள். சில பேருக்கு கொஞ்சம் அதிகமாக இருக்கும், சில குணங்கள் குறைவாக இருக்கும், அவ்வளவுதான். அனைத்தும் அனைவரிடத்தும் இருக்கும். The false belief that there is a thing called universe apart from and different from self or Atman, and that alone is the eternal truth, is known as Mithya Jnanam. Egoism or Asmimati referred to here relates to the notion of I and mine in connection with one's own body and the like. Raga is attachment to material things like wealth. Vikopa refers to anger against those who deprive one of his wealth. Fear or bhitihi is the anxiety that the acquired wealth would be lost. Thus, there are 5 modes of ignorance. Brahma first created avidya, which is fundamental ignorance, asmita, egoism, raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion, and abhinivesha, fear that one might be cut off from worldly life and bodily enjoyment by the most feared cause, namely death. As these were tamasic in quality, Brahma became very distressed that he was responsible creating all these. Brahma thought, alas, I have created these due to my absolute ignorance, and the results from these will cause lots of unhappiness in the created world for which I have become responsible. He then resorted to contemplation of your feet for self-purification and removal of that ignorance which caused quite some creation filled with ignorance. Patanjali Yoga Sutram is very famous, as you all know. Avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshaha, panchakleshaha. This is a dicta in Patanjali Yoga Sutram. It defines it clearly as ignorance, which is non-education, ego, which is pride, attachment, hatred, obsession, deep attachment are the 5 perverseness, destructive forces, contradictions, which are obstruction to yoga or the path to salvation. Let us now listen to Sloka 3. तावत् ससज्ज मनसा तावत् ससज्ज मनसा सनकौ सनन्दा भूयः सनातन मुनिं च सनत्कुमारो ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानः त्वत्पाद भक्तिरसिका जगृह्णवाणीं त्वत्पाद भक्तिरसिका जगृह्णवाणीं वाणी. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातन मुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पाद भक्तिरसिका जगुः न वाणीं. Then Brahma created 4 mind-born offspring. They were named the famous sages Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. On being ordered by him to procreate, these sages flatly refused to do so, as their minds were already immersed in devotion to you, the Parabrahman, He Gurvairappa, and thereby they disobeyed the Creator or their father. தங்கள் திருவடிகளை எண்ணி மனம் தூய்மை அடைந்த பொழுது பிரம்மதேவர் சனகர், சனந்தனர், சனாதனர், சனத்குமார் ஆகிய முனிவர்களை மனதால் தோற்றுவித்தார். அந்த பிரம்மதேவரால் படைப்பு தொழிலில் ஏவப்பட்ட அந்த நால்வரும் தங்கள் திருவடிகளை அடைவதிலேயே மிகுந்த விருப்பம் உடையவர்களாய் இருந்ததால் பிரம்மதேவர் சொன்ன சொல்லை ஏற்கவில்லை. அவர் ஆணையை மேற்கொள்ளவில்லை. When Brahma got rid of his ignorance by contemplating on you, his mind attained purity, and with a mind pure and undefiled, he created the wonderful four sages, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. Brahma then prompted them to engage themselves in the task of creation by adapting the dharma or discipline of Mithunas. Mithunas are forming pairs or couples. These four Sanat Kumaras refused to undertake this task as their minds were already immersed in absolute devotion to you, and their only goal was to reach your feet. They did not aspire for anything. Why, even salvation? Once they acquired unshakable devotion to your lotus feet, because even salvation became completely a non-effect for them. Would they, in the circumstances, ever take up the task of procreation, the very cause of attachment and bondage, which pushes people to be born again? Bhattacharya raises these fundamental questions in that slokam. Let us see how Sukha explains to Parikshit in Srimad Bhagavatam in 3rd canto, the 12th chapter. Sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam atatma bhuvo. Sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam atatma bhuvo. Sanat kumaram cha munin nishkriyadvare tasaha. Diya nirvidyamanopi bruvor madhyat prajapatege. Diya nigrihyamanopi bruvor madhyat prajapatege. Sadyo ajayata tanmanyuhu kumaro nilalovagitaha. Sadyo jayata tanmanyuhu kumaro nilalohitaha. Sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatana matatma bhuhu. Sanat kumaram cha munin nishkriyate urdvareta saha. In the beginning, Brahma created four sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated. Diya nigrihyamanopi bruvor madhyat prajapatehe satyo jayata tanmanyuhu kumaro nilalohitaha. Although Brahma tried to curb his anger, Brahma's anger came out between his eyebrows, and a child mixed with blue and red color was immediately generated from the eyebrows or from the middle of the eyebrows of Brahma. Yagarodihi surasveta sodvegaiva balakaha. Yagarodihi surasveta sodvegaiva balakaha. Tatasvatmajayam tatasvam abhidasyanti. Tatasvam abhidasyanti namna rudrayati praja. Indriyani asuravyo vayuragnirjalam mahi Surya Chandra tapasaiva Tanan Anyagre Kritanite Surya Chandra tapasaiva Tanan Anyagre Kritanite Yadarodhihi surasreshta sodvegaiva balakaha tatastvam abhidasyanti namna rudraiti prajaha. Thereafter Brahma said, O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried to have a name and form. Hrid indriyani asura vyoma vayuhu agnirjalam mahi Surya Chandra tapaschaiva sthanan yagre kritanite. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. What exactly is this? Why should Sukha go in detail about what happened to Brahma and what was caused out of his anger, and why did he name the creation that came from the middle of his eyebrows and gave him the name Rudra? Kamayesha Krodayesha Raja Guna Samubhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Nigavairinam Kamayesha Krodayesha Rajo Guna Samubhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Igavairinam Ye Anye Aravindaksha Vibhuktimaninaha Tvayiyasta Bhavat Avishuddha Buddhaya Arudhya Krichena Parampadam Tada Patanyadoha Anadrita Yushmadangrayaha Arudhya Krichena Parampadam Tataha Patanyadoha Anadrita Yushmadangrayaha. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, the 37th slokam says, Kamayesha Krodayesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Udyenam Ihavairinam. Bhagavan Krishna said, it is lust only, O Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mood of passion and later transformed into wrath. Lust turns into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this creation or the world. This is Gita Vakyam. Coming back to Srimad Bhagavatam, but the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, Ye anye aravindaksha vimuktamaninaha tvayasta bhavati avishuddha buddhayaha Arusha Krichrena Param Padam Tataha Patantyadoho Anadrita Yushmad Angreha. Someone may say that aside from devotees who always seek shelter at the Bhagavan's lotus feet, there are those who are not devotees but who have accepted different processes for attaining their salvation. But what happens to them who pursue alternate methods? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and the other demigods already created said, O lotus-eyed Lord Bhagavan, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves as liberated, their intelligence is impure and they will never get liberated. They only fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. Since they forgot or they don't know that your lotus feet is the ultimate goal, they continue to do so much of penance and austerities without knowing this secret. Thereby, their intelligence is never going to be pure. Bhattacharya explains the emergence of Rudra following the details of Srimad Bhagavatam in Sloka 4. Tavat prakopamudito pratirundadosya tavat prakopamudito pratirundidosya madhyato ajani mrudo bhavadekadeshaha tavat prakopamudito pratirundadosya madhyato ajani mrudo bhavadekadeshaha namani me urpadani chaha virinjet padu namani me urpadani chaha virinjet yadav uroda kilatena yadav uroda kilatena sa rudranama Tavat prakopamuditam pratirundato asya bru madhyato ajani mrudo bhavadekadeshaha namani me kuru padani cha ha virinchedi yadaur uroda kilathena sa rudranama. அவ்விதம் சனகாதிகள் சந்ததியை உண்டு பண்ணுவதற்கு மறுத்த பொழுது அந்த பிரம்மதேவர் தனக்கு உண்டான கடும் சினத்தை, மகா கோபத்தை மனதிலேயே அடக்கிக் கொண்டார். ஒழிக்கவில்லை, அடக்கிக் கொண்டார். அப்போது அவரது புருவங்களின் நடுவில் இன்று தோன்றிய கோபமே ஒரு அம்சமான மிருடா என்கிற சங்கரர் தோன்றினார். வந்ததும் அவர் கேட்ட முதல் கேள்வி, பிரம்மதேவரே, எனக்கு பெயர்களையும் இருப்பிடங்களையும் அளித்தருள வேண்டும் என்று அழுதார். அதனால் அவர் ருரோத என்கிற பதத்துக்கு ருத்ரர் என்ற பெயர் கிடைத்தது. அழுததனால் ஏற்பட்ட பெயர் ருத்ரர். மிருடா is another name for Shiva according to the Siva Purana, the 2nd canto, 3rd chapter. Siva consents to marry Parvati. Accordingly, as Vishnu said to Siva, O great Lord, you are omniscient. You are the immanent being and the Lord of all. Don't you know what is in our mind? Your mind and my mind are one and the same, but accepting that I had to create you through this process. You know my mind. In fact, it is exactly in your mind as well. Nevertheless, I am going to speak it at your bidding. O Shiva, Mrida, many kinds of miseries have befallen us due to the demon Taraka. It is for that you have been propitiated by the gods. For attaining you, Shiva is born of mountain Himachala. The demon's death can be at the hands of your son alone, begotten of her. Of course, this did not happen when Brahma created Rudra. I am only giving you the context how Shiva was also known as Mrida and how Rudra was known as Shiva, and what happened between Vishnu and Shiva much later as described in Shiva Purana. And one of the digressive stories here is Mrida as opposed to Mrida. Mrida is name for Shiva, but Mrida means rubbing one, namely the cosmic energy rub. Shakti in Shakta tradition and also Shiva in Kaumaram, they are known as Mrida. That is one of the names of the goddess Devi, who is regarded as the female principle of the ultimate divine. The embodiment of the energies of gods is known as Goddess Devi. Let us see what happened to Brahma and why he created Rudra or Rudras as per Srimad Bhagavatam and typically as followed by Bhattadri. In Bhagavatam 1st canto, this is how it goes. Even though Brahma was attempting to suppress his anger manifested itself from the middle of his eyebrows, and Mrida, who is the partial incarnation, Brahman, was born out of that anger. Sattvam rajastamayati prakritehe gunaha staihi yuktaha parapurusha ihasya datte stityadaye hari virincha hareti samjnaha shreyamsi tatra kalu sattvatonohon drinam shuhu. In the first canto, second chapter of Bhagavatam. The meaning of this is Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas are the three modes or attributes of Prakriti. Assuming these for the preservation, creation and destruction respectively of this universe, the one Supreme Person severally bears the names of Brahma, Vishnu and Siva, and that is Brahman. So Rudra is a partial incarnation of Brahman. When Rudra was born, because of the anger of Brahma, the person emanating from the eyebrows of Brahma, namely Rudra, was crying. Because he cried like a child, seeking Brahma to immediately intervene and give him names and abodes, he was christened Rudra. So Rodit Yadarodit Tat Rudrasya Rudratvam. The name Rudra is derived from the root Rud or Roditi, to cry. To put Rudra and Raudram and Kopam in context, this is an important step which we need to talk about. This attitude is a manifestation of the Rudra principle in the heart, wherein Krodha is generated. This Krodha or anger develops in the heart and is further manifested through various senses like the eyes, hands and legs. How? When a man is angry, he expresses his anger, such anger, with red-hot eyes, and sometimes makes a display of clenching his fists or kicking his legs. These are all manifestations of anger only. Thus, to show the anger, eyes, hands and legs are used. This exhibition of the Rudra principle is the proof of Rudra's presence in such places of the body of human creation. When a man is angry, he breathes very rapidly. Thus, Rudra is represented in the air of life or in the activities of the breathing by that person. When the sky is overcast with the dense clouds and roars in anger, when the wind blows very fiercely, all of that depict the Rudra principle and how it is manifesting. And so also when the sea water is infuriated by the wind, as if it is ready to go and touch the sky, it appears in such a gloomy but fiery and practically bubbling nature with huge waves. All of that is a manifestation of Rudra, which is very fearful to the common man. When fire is ablaze, we can also experience the presence of Rudra. The more intense the fire, the more anger that is shown by the fire god in the depiction. And when there is an inundation over there, we can understand that is also a representation of Rudra, even though that inundation came by water. There are many sages empowered with the influence of austerity, and many yogis, philosophers and renouncers who sometimes exhibit their acquired power under the influence of the Rudra principle of anger and passion. The great yogi Durvasa, under the influence of this Rudra principle, picked a quarrel with Maharaja Ambarisha, and a Brahmana boy exhibited the Rudra principle by cursing the great king Parikshit. When the Rudra principle is exhibited by persons who are not engaged in Shuddha Bhakti for the Supreme Brahman, the angry person falls down from the peak of his evolved position, even though he had reached that position after thousands and thousands and million years of tapas or penance. Brahma says this in another context in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, 2nd chapter. Ye anye aravindaksha vimuktamanina swayasta bhavate avishuddha buddhayaha aruhya krishnena param padam tadaha patandidoho anadrita ishmadangrayaha, which we saw earlier. Let us now listen to sloka number 5. एकादश आह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपम् एकादश आह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपम् रुद्रं विदाय दयिता वनितश्च दत्त्वा एकादश आह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विदाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुम्नः प्राग प्रजाविरचनाय च सादरं तं प्राग प्रजाविरचनाय च सादरं तं सादरं एकादश आह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विदाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं தம். தங்களால் ஏவப்பட்ட பிரம்மதேவர் அந்த ருத்ரருக்கு 11 பெயர்களையும் அதற்குரிய வெவ்வேறு உருவங்களையும் கொடுத்து அவருக்கு விருப்பமான துணைவிகளையும் உரிய இடங்களையும் கொடுத்தார். பிறகு உயிர்களை படைக்குமாறு அன்புடன் பணித்தார். This is the summary Bhattadari gives through that slokam number 5. Hey Guruvayurappa, to the perplexed Brahma you gave knowledge and courage to handle the crying Rudra, and at your direction Brahma gave Rudra 11 names, 11 different forms and 11 abodes. What are they? Then to those 11 different Rudras he gave each an affectionate wife. The 11 Rudras were in reality only one, though they had separate wives, abodes and names, so that one Rudra became Ekadasha Rudras and had different abodes. After giving Rudra 11 forms and 11 wives, Brahma asked them politely to consider and give a thought to the activity of creation by adapting the Mithuna Dharma. Because he didn't want to make the same mistake that he did to Sanaka and Sanandana and Sanat Kumara and Sanatana. He politely approached Rudra in the 11 different forms and requested, can you please give some thought to the activity of creation, because I have been entrusted with this huge task by Brahman, and that's why you have been created here. Could you help me with that? It is clear from the expression Dayitaha Vanitaha Cha. As mentioned in Amarakosha, Vanita Janitati Arthanuragayam Cha Yoshiti. The word Vanita means a beloved young woman who is deeply attached. It's also clear from the expression Dayitaha Vanitaha Cha that all the 11 Rudras and their wives were deeply attached to each other, and hence they followed the marital tradition and they would not refuse the request of Brahma to procreate beings in the world and expand the creation, unlike Sanaka and others who walked away from Brahma. Bhagavatam explains the 11 names of Rudra as the names of their wives and their abodes. The 11 Rudras are Manyu, Manu, Mahinas, Mahan, Siva, Kratudvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, Dhritavrata. And for each of those Rudras, Manyu married Dhi, Manu married Vritti, Mahinas married Ushana, Mahan married Uma, Siva married Niyut, Kratudvaja Sarpi, Ugrareta Ila, Bhava married Ambika, Kala married Airavati, Vamadeva married Sudha, Dhritavrata married Diksha. And these 11 Rudras are in the body of each human being, and they have 11 places within each one of us. The Ekadasha Rudras occupy respectively our heart, sensory organs, vital air, sky, wind, fire, water, earth, sun, moon, and penance. Thereby we see the influence of at least 9 elements inside us while already heart and sense organ are pervaded by 2 of the 11 Rudras. I can imagine at this juncture the angst of many of you, unable to reconcile the above descriptions about how Rudra was formed, why the name Rudra was given from his crying, why and Rudra was created, if he was created by Brahma, by someone considered otherwise inferior to Lord Shiva, and is Shiva not another part of Brahman? And is that not why Sri Rudram assumes a manifest significance? Yes, I will digress a bit from Nãrãyaneeyam and Bhagavatam to focus on all these questions that may come out of our emotion towards Rudra. Sri Rudram, also known as Sri Rudra Prashna, is a hymn that is offered to all-pervading Brahman, designated as Rudra Shiva, present in auspicious, benign forms as well as terrible forms which Rudra assumes at the time of the dissolution and the destruction of the cosmos previously created at the Pralaya Kalam. It occurs in the Taittiriya Samhita of the Krishna Yajurveda in the 4th Kanda, 5th Prashna, and it is considered as one of 108 Upanishads. It is also known as Namakam because of the repeated word Namaha, Namaha, Namaha in it. Sri Rudram is divided into 11 Anuvakas or passages and consists of 37 rigs or verses in various Vedic chandas or meters in Anuvaka 1, 10 and 11. Anuvakas 2 to 9 and the last line of Anuvaka 11 consist of 130 yajus or sacrificial formulas. Sri Rudra is mentioned in Rigveda, but there is a detailed section in praise of Rudra in the Yajurveda. Rudra has 2 forms. One is a Ghora form or the terrible form, and Shiva or the auspicious form, Shiva meaning Mangalam. Hence, Rudra is one side and Shiva the other side of the same coin or same creation. Rudra and Shiva are not 2, but they are 1. The Brahmana text which interprets the Rudram states, Rudra is verily this fire. Rudra has 2 forms, one terrible and the other auspicious. This is how the Brahmana describes. If a man does sacrifice to him by chanting the Rudram, that man pacifies the Ghora Swarupam or the terrible form. Scholars hold somewhat divergent views about the purpose and effect of this chant. But many believe that by pacifying the Ghora Swarupam, the auspicious and Mangala aspect become very dominant and automatically pleased, and that is what you ultimately get. By pleasing Sri Rudra, you ultimately get Shiva. Why then Rudram? The purpose of this magnificent hymn is to set aside once and for all the extra cosmic notion of God that people sometimes entertain in their religious fervor, and to instill into the minds of people the greater, profounder knowledge of the fact that God is not merely the creative, extra cosmic parent of the universe, but he is also immanent in every particle, in every speck of space, in every unit of time, in every nook and corner, and in every particle of creation. A very intriguing aspect of God present in this wondrous hymn, Sri Rudram, is that God is existing in both the aspects, the good and the apparent bad, the beautiful and the apparent ugly, the right and what appears to be wrong, the positive and the negative, the high and the low, the conceivable and the inconceivable, mortality and immortality, existence and non-existence. It is considered as the only hymn of its kind in the religious literature of the entire world which focuses on the idea of God, not only associated with the ideas of pleasant and good, but also with the idea of dreadful and destructive. that the God permeates everything in manifestation, including aspects deemed not otherwise ethical by the so-called purists and fault finders. The word Rudra has 4 root meanings. Dreadful, terrific, angry is one meaning. The other is great and large. The third one is driving away evil. The fourth one is fit to be praised or worshipped. Another rather firm explanation derived from Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puranam, and the like is based on the meaning of the very roots of Rudra. Ru to cry or to teach, Rud to make a person weep, and Dra to flow, or Rudra to make a person weep and to flow. Hence, Rudra is considered as a deity who teaches the supreme knowledge to all and whose energy flows in everything. By teaching, by making a person realize intensely, leading to an emotional understanding as well, and also making the reciter follow the Brahman. It is believed by teachers and scholars that by reciting Veda once, one becomes pure on that day, and by reciting Rudram, the person gets purified at the very next moment. Yet another verse declares, where a devout reciter of the Rudram lives, be it in a village or town, that place will be free from disease, drought, thefts, and other ills. Siva Purana further explains, by chanting Rudram, one gains both worldly pleasures and liberation. The Jabala Upanishad states, once the students of the sacred knowledge asked sage Yajnavalkya, can we gain eternal life by repetition of mantras? Yajnavalkya said, by the repetition of Shatarudriya, a man becomes immortal, for the names and namas of God therein are nectarine. Kaivalya Upanishad also declares, whoever reads Shatarudriya becomes pure as fire, becomes pure as air. What then is Chamakam? Chamakam occurs in the Taittiriya Samhita of the Krishna Yajurveda in the 4th Kanda, 7th Prashna. It is also called on account of recurrence of the word Chame, 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 directly translated as Cha is and, Me is me, and me, and me, and me. You will see so many Chame, Chame, Chame. After praying and identifying Rudra with everything in the Namakam, Chamakam is usually recited immediately after, in which the devotee asks Rudra to give him everything. 347 things to be precise, coupled with the article cha, meaning and the verb me, kalpatam, chame, kalpatam, be granted unto me, me kalpatam, be granted unto me. Chamakam furnishes completely the idea of human happiness and defines in the highest degree the desires to be asked or to be granted. Chamakam roots are firmly implanted in the worldly desires, ultimately leading to the divine fulfillment, but that's a step. Great acharyas and many followers of Sanatana Dharma are somewhat divided. Many believe that seeking no results from Nishkamya Bhakti and seeking the abode of the only Brahman, the cosmic bliss, are sufficient, and no need to seek any and all material and non-material results by reciting such scriptural work such as Sri Rudram, and thus avoid the next step of abandonment and divine fulfillment. The rest believe that focused dhyana, shravana, manana, and kirtana of the bliss known as Vishnu are sufficient direct upayas for the ultimate upayam or the goal. Let us take this subject at a different date for a more detailed study later, for a much wider understanding, and move on to Bhattadiri's descriptions, especially why Brahma had to plead to Rudra not to create any more when he started creation. At one point, Brahma pleads to the Ekadasha Rudras to stop creation. Why did he do that? All the answers are already there in Dasakam 10 of Bhattadri's Nãrãyaneeyam, and which will be seen in the second half from slokas 6 to 10 in the next session. Nārāyana, 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 Nārāyana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Guruvayurappa.